Hello there, Padawan learners, Jedi Masters, and lore legends. Welcome to the Bendu Podcast, where we talk all things Star Wars.
What's up, guys, and welcome to the Bendu Podcast, where we seek balance in the Force. We got lots of fun stuff to talk about tonight because Kenobi Finale is over, and we got so much to talk about. Before we get into that tonight, I just want to bring to your guys' attention, we do have an amazing Discord for just Star Wars, so if you want to check that out, look at the description down below in our YouTube video here, or if you're listening to the audio version, you can find it there. We got an awesome Patreon set up for the podcast as well, so it's really cool there. If you're looking for tunes for your YouTube videos for stream or anything like that, or Star Wars themed, make sure you check out Spotify with our Mulehorn Gaming Lo-Fi Beats. We got tunes on there you can use for all kinds of great stuff. So guys, I am stoked. I am so excited. There's so much to talk about with Kenobi, and I've heard a really awesome rumor that I wanted to share and break on the podcast tonight too. And then I had it confirmed from a very good source that it is a done deal. So I'm going to share that a little bit later on the podcast. But it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Hello there. Yes.
He said it. He said
Dude,
it.
oh, what can we do? Yes, there's. Oh, by the way, there's spoilers, guys. We put it in the title, but there is spoilers tonight. So, yeah. So he said it, dude. Okay, let's just start.
We have episode 5 to talk about too a little bit.
Yeah, let's just go through all of it, man.
Wait, before we do that, if you are not easily offended, make sure to sign up for the Patreon. If you are easily offended, you've been warned. That's all I'm going to say.
Especially after the last one.
Sometimes I go a little off the rails, and
sometimes a little.
Ray's mom.
It was great. So Crawler, give me the 5 and 6. Give me the dish, man. What do you were really excited before the podcast to talk about a few things. So,
well, I mean, going back a week, episode 5, just the force push on the sabers, like just not even like batting an eye a little bit with sabers flying at Vader. He just stops it with the force. He dual wields like Ahsoka a little bit. He pulls a ship down to the ground like Starkiller with no problem, and just rips it apart. Like at the end of episode 5, when he just pulls the ship down and just rips the hull apart. I'm like, oh
yeah. Like, and you hear him too. He's like, as he's like ripping it apart. He's just pissed, man.
I will say, James Earl Jones's performance has been phenomenal, and I think any criticism that was his voice in Rogue One has been fixed. I don't know if it's all James Earl Jones or if it's being fixed in like post FX, like if they're kind of fine tuning it a little bit, but it's on point, and it's great to hear. And I mean, going forward to 6, when they mix in Hayden's voice and James Earl Jones's voice intermittent through the broken mask, that was awesome.
My gosh, dude, I lost it with that. Like, oh my god, it was so good. Because okay, like as a person that helps edit lots of videos at my job and does that for our YouTube and stuff, I loved the way they used lighting in that. Like when he was talking to Obi Wan, and you could see he wasn't like. He was battling a little bit, right? Because it's not the Vader we see in Rogue One yet, and not the Vader we read in some of the comics later on. And so he's just battling, and there's a little bit of a hint of blue that's just against his face a little. And then when he replies, like, "I'm not your failure. I killed Anakin Skywalker." And that red just illuminates his face and his eyes, dude. Holy crap.
I mean, that just speaks to the practical lighting that they've done with the lightsabers when they use them in the real shot.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it was.
I liked
insane.
all of it.
Yeah, what did you think, Josh? I know you said like at the beginning you were kind of and now you've seen the whole series.
The show felt like there was quite a bit of, I don't know. It did feel a little bit less about Anakin and Obi-Wan for a while there, and then finally closed back up. Servant sent me a hilarious meme of Impractical Jokers having Vader tell Reva that she was the
with the Grand Inquisitor, and it's like now tell him you're the Grand Inquisitor. I saw that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, just there was a lot in this last episode that was like, it really felt like it redeemed itself and like, had a good time. Do you guys find it a little bit just hard to get used to seeing Darth Vader on the screen again? Like it's just kind of, I think there's something about that where it's just like going back and seeing him again. I mean, and what I loved about this one in particular, there were a few different moments where I was like, this feels very Star Wars. Whereas like sometimes that's not always the case, but like, other than it felt like The Last Jedi a little bit when they were chasing the ship again. And I was just like, but it also felt like New Hope, right? Because they did the same thing there.
Yeah.
And so that still felt very Star Wars though, right? Because I feel like it's one of those like 70s, maybe even 60s movie tropes, right? That they're kind of keeping alive. It still don't excuse it in Last Jedi. Nothing excuses that movie, but
Last Jedi has a timing and pacing and issue, which I want to talk about the timing and pacing on episode 6, because I think it was done for editing purposes, but it throws people, unless you're fully aware of it, like what's happening between Vader and Obi-Wan is not happening at the same time on Tatooine. Like that was just a cut back and forth for theatrics, I think. And because Reva doesn't get up and heal herself in her stomach, which speaking of memes, the meme I saw this week was like, is anybody thinking they didn't check Qui-Gon that well for a stab in the stomach when before they burned his body? Like,
I heard a really good explanation of that, but let me.
I'm not dead. Poor Qui-Gon,
bro. Is he really a Force ghost? Or
he is now because they burned him alive.
Yeah. So I heard a really, really good explanation of that. It's like why is it that Qui-Gon just died right when he got stabbed once? And it's because he's a Jedi. He accepts the will of the Force, right? And he accepts his death. While the Sith, they don't seek to accept the will of the Force. They want to bend the Force to their will.
They take their pain and they amplify it.
Yeah. And so I thought that made really good sense, because the Jedi, I mean, if a Jedi is destined to die, then they will die. They'll accept that and become one with the Force, you know.
He held long enough to have a conversation with Obi-Wan.
Yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. It's very much the Jedi way to just, all right, I embrace the will of the Force here and go with the will of the Force. This is what it wants. Obviously, the will of the Force wanted to destroy millions of people with the dark side. But yeah.
That's interesting though, because it's like either they're just like, yeah, I'm going to give up and die, or I'm just going to become an old drunk in the desert.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to go milk these sea creatures and hate everything everywhere. Like it's servant with the hot take. Jedi are weaker than Sith. Ooh,
I mean,
maybe you haven't watched episode 6 of Kenobi.
Dude, can we talk about that when we finally get to see Kenobi? Like
where he gathers and centers on the Force and just explodes the rocks around him.
Yeah, he just like picks them up like.
I mean, it was the thought of Luke and Leia and the future of the Jedi that I think brought him, recentered him in that.
Yeah, and he just like annihilated Vader right there, man. I mean, what it's interesting too is he didn't kill him again. He walked away from him because I think he still feels like he's the chosen one. Like there's something there, you know.
Let's talk about this a little bit because it didn't sit well with me initially.
Let's see.
Because I'm just like, in my mind, the way it plays out is as Vader's going down and they're having that conversation, the Grand Inquisitor and TIE fighters are coming in.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe even firing at Obi-Wan, making him have to run out versus just walking away. It didn't sit well with me initially.
Yeah.
But I like what you're saying. You know, maybe he still believes he's the chosen one. Maybe there was still just that this was still my brother, you know.
Yeah.
But they just had the conversation about how Anakin died, which
Anakin was the one that killed.
Yeah,
Vader was the one that killed Anakin,
which
helps with the line in Episode 4.
Exactly.
A whole lot. A young Jedi named Anakin or named Darth Vader hunted down and killed your father.
Yeah,
I mean that, and the whole exchange on Alderaan helps with the whole call me if you need help thing. I mean, whoever was writing, if it was Filoni and Favreau that kind of had the overarching structure of the story, or if it was the showrunners for Kenobi writing it independently themselves, they really found a way, because people like to pick that apart over the last couple weeks, where it's like, how is Leia not going to remember Obi-Wan, and how is just remember him so faintly when she had this interaction with him at 10 years old and yada yada yada. I mean, it helps set up that he's there for her in just a desperate hour, which that is how she words it to him. In our most desperate hour, I need your help. And then it also, meeting Luke is aware of Ben Kenobi, and that's probably how he introduces himself to Luke, and not as Obi-Wan, because he doesn't know an Obi-Wan. He only knows Ben the Hermit out in
dude. And that
doesn't Leia say Ben in Episode 4?
Luke opens the cell door to her on the Death Star and says, "I'm here with Ben Kenobi." And she goes, "Ben Kenobi," and stands up all excited because she knows who she knows him as both names.
Yeah. Yeah, and she did say goodbye, called him Obi-Wan when he left. And then in the message in New Hope, she does say, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope."
Right. I think the only thing that would have helped a lot of people that aren't maybe into the comics or anything like that would have been some kind of reference and photo or hologram of Padme to Leia.
Yeah, I think that would have been kind of cool for her to have something, because there is that line in Return of the Jedi where she's like, she kind of remembers her mother.
Glimpses of my mother. Yeah.
Well, according to the comics, there's a statue of her that she visits regularly on Alderaan.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
I believe. I know everybody's shocked. Everybody's shocked that I Googled something or had a little bit of lore.
Is that maybe like an original, like, founders of the not the Resistance, but the Preservers of the Republic kind of statue, maybe, or something like that, where she's part of a group? Or is it just of her?
Let me I'm going to pull it up, because I it was years ago that I Googled it, because I was always curious on how they would fit that into the lore. So I'll take a quick peek while you guys keep going.
Yeah, I thought the holster was really cool. The way that they kind of did that, showcasing that, hey, you're going to do things a little bit differently. You're going to be a fighter. You know, it's not going to be like, because Alderaan's known as a very peaceful planet that is not against fighting and things like that. They're kind of like, what is it, Switzerland or whatever. They're always neutral. I
love seeing those shots of Alderaan, though. Like that last shot in Episode 6 was so cool, just to see all the buildings with the forest in the foreground and the mountains behind it, and it's a shame they blew it up.
Yeah, and I like this comment. Maybe R2 helped her. Maybe R2 helped at some point and helped her figure out who, her mother was, or something like. I mean, because you think about all the stuff that R2's been through, dude. He knew all of that stuff, like all of it. It's kind of nuts to think about.
And he's tight-lipped when he wants to be too. He doesn't remember stuff. Yeah. I wish there would be where R2's on Alderaan, right? Like is that where he is?
I believe he's
with them. At least on Captain Antilles' ship, maybe, or something like that.
Yeah, because C-3PO had his mind wipe, but R2 was still doing his thing.
Yeah.
So, I guess he's in service to, Leia and all of them. So
I wish they would have kind of explained why. Some kind of reason that's I think the lingering plot hole is like Obi Wan saying he doesn't ever remember. He never owned a droid, but he knows who R2 is. Like,
yeah, he's playing a little bit right there. He's playing the game a little. Yeah. I really want to. Yeah, go ahead, John.
There's a couple things here. So, in the Star Wars Adventures Annual 2019, the book's backup story. Let me make sure. Leia's adopted mother, Queen Brera, talks to Leia in the garden where a statue of Queen Amidala is present, and she talks to Leia about Padme and tells her.
Okay.
And then she's about the age that she is in the show.
Yeah.
I'm looking at drawings, so I'm guessing here. But then before that, there was also, let's see, it doesn't say which comic it's in that I'm looking at right here, but Leia does go to Naboo and sees a stained glass portrait of Padme as well.
Dang.
But this is, it's hard to she's with R2 and the photo looks like I can't tell who she's with because I don't see I can't see everything here. So,
I mean, it kind of sounds like at the end of episode 6 that Leia is ready to embrace Junior Senate or whatever it was that they were talking about.
Yeah.
Like the second or third episode, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And start on that path for the next 9 years.
Yeah. I have to go back to that whole Obi-Wan seeing the future of the Jedi and Luke and Leia, and like when he's fighting Vader and he pops off his mask, like I saw a tweet right before the podcast that made me think about this. But like one side, like literally one side that we see, which is his, I think is it his left?
His left. It's his left eye.
It's his left. Ahsoka gets to see him with half his mask off, in Rebels.
It's the same side, right? That's all I could think of when I saw that shot.
And so does Obi-Wan, right? So they both only get to see half of who this guy is, right? And then at the end, Luke gets to take it completely off and see the whole person of who Anakin Skywalker is and the real person of who he is. And I thought that was really kind of a cool thing to think about, is like, okay, yeah, you're seeing, like, especially like, because we were talking about earlier with the voice effects, like you're seeing just half of who he really is, and you hear his voice, and then you hear Darth Vader's voice, and you can feel the conflict and the twisted. It's just how, like, that's why Obi-Wan later says he's more machine now than man and twisted and evil, because
well, and Ahsoka even gets a flash of blue eyeball as well, like, and so Obi-Wan doesn't get that, but I think
he gets a blue hue, but not like
it's because it's from the lightsaber. But I feel like the start and you see it kind of foreshadowed in the conversation with Sidious as well, is I think that reopens the internal conflict in Vader, and it's because the Ahsoka conflict happens between this and episode 4, so it has a chance to grow.
Yeah. I really like too how, and some people may have seen it as a throwaway line, but I really do want to call attention and bring up, like, I really love how when he freaking just buries them under the rocks and stands up over them, like from above where he has the high ground now.
I wanted a high ground comment.
Yes.
I really did. Did everybody else want a high ground comment?
I did, dude. I wanted something. I have the high ground now. Yeah. But I love it when he calls him master, like master, because that really has a great callback to New Hope when he said, "When I left you, I was but the learner, but now I am the master." So, and then of course, Obi-Wan, classic zinger, only a master of evil, so, yeah, but it's like, I really like how they did that because I felt like that was such a good, it was a really good tie-in to New Hope and just the dichotomy of that relationship between Obi-Wan, Darth Vader, Anakin. I thought that was really cool.
Well, and the setting I felt like was a lot better than it was in episode 3. Like they had the rocks and everything around. It started out in that open kind of flat area, but it moved into the chimney rocks kind of all around them. And I mean, do we also want to talk about like Vader left him kind of alive as well? Like he didn't, I think, have it in him to kill him either. He buried him, but I mean, that's not a confirmation of death or anything.
Yeah, not in Star Wars. Yeah.
Or in Marvel.
Yeah,
I was fully expecting a Vader limb to be taken as well, but I mean, I think the mask being opened up, I think was pretty good though.
Well, and him going full asthmatic was also really cool, right?
Yeah.
How he sounded in Return of the Jedi when after Luke finished him or took his limb,
There was just so many good callbacks too, man. Like you see Obi-Wan waiting for his opening and studying the weaknesses of his opponent, which is classic Obi-Wan, right? That the way he fights.
You see his episode 3 form come out as well with the high guard. Yeah,
I'll do as I must. Like he does the same thing. So like to me, when I heard that, I'm like, okay, he's not going to kill Vader no matter what happens, but like he knows how to fight and he learns from every fight. Cause like that flashback scene, and I'll pull up a comment here because this brings it up. It says he got hit in the back too. Because if you guys recall in that flashback scene, there's a moment where they're back to back and Obi-Wan just kind of turns. Well, in this last fight, Obi-Wan actually puts his hand on him and pushes him and then hits him in the back.
Mm-hmm.
So like Obi-Wan was definitely showing that like, yo, I know how to fight you. Like this is not going to go like you planned, There was also a shot where Obi-Wan had his lightsaber in a very weird grip because he was having to fully just counteract. Like it was almost like he was pushing against. Was it both hands on the outside? Because he was like having to push against the strength of Vader. It was like a reverse grip, and then the other hand on it to hold it because Vader was so freaking strong. Yeah,
and we actually see Vader 2 hands on the hilt this time as well. Like
a high guard.
Like I mean, because it was different. Rogue One was just spinny lightsaber, more force. Episode 5, I'm trying to think. I don't know if we ever see 2 hands on the lightsaber in episode 5 either.
You do toward the end after Luke, when Luke kind of pops him on the side. He gets a little pissed and grabs both hands.
That's right.
That's when he just starts like slamming and like showing Luke, all right, bro.
When he's got 2 hands on it, when he's using the Force and having all the boxes hit.
Yeah,
Luke
he does that as well. Yeah. But
there was a spot where Obi-Wan, it reminded me of the Darth Maul fight a little bit, where he blocked forward and back really quick.
High, back and forward. Yeah.
I don't know if he went behind his head or if he just kind of but it just reminded me of it because it was like a hit and then another hit right away. And I was like, oh, I love, there were just a few moments where like I would, say something audibly or just be like, oh yeah, there you go.
I mean, there were a few twirls from Obi-Wan, at least in this fight. Like
he
got his groove back. I mean, I mean, that's what it was.
But talking about that different grip and having to deal with it almost helped. Like I felt like that fight helped the episode 4 fight, where they kept breaking the sabers and it was like they were due to technology and they even George talks about how he thought that the original sabers would be more like Excalibur and very heavy and two-handed and that kind of thing. It kind of just makes that all a little more, I felt like they did a really good job with it. It wasn't episode 3 again, where they're just like flailing all over the place,
all over,
yeah.
and like,
well, I mean, that
not
goes
hitting
back
each
to,
other.
It goes back to what it's kind of always been. It was not a lightsaber fight. It was a conversation. And it was Obi-Wan accepting his fate. He had 9 years now with Qui-Gon. Like it seems like that was the first time Qui-Gon has appeared to him fully. Like I don't even know how much maybe he's even been able to commune with him just as with his voice, and not. It seems like Qui-Gon was able to finish his training like after death to be able to materialize as a Force ghost. And this is the start of Obi-Wan clearing out his cave, moving to his hut, going further across the Dune Sea, I think giving Luke his space, and communing with Qui-Gon and learning the final step he has to take to become one with the Force.
Yeah. Part of me too, that whole part with Reva, like, fine, that was fine the way they did it and things like that. It makes sense with her trauma. Like, she doesn't want to become what Vader is, right? Like, what she wants to destroy. That's the dark side. The dark side turns you into what you want to destroy, right? And so she couldn't go through with it, and she dropped her saber. I was really hoping that they would do something with, like, maybe, because we all want to know how Luke got his kyber crystal, right? Well, we know Legends, it was synthetic. The thought is, in the now canon, is it was probably Qui-Gon's crystal. But it would be really cool if maybe they tied it in somehow that it was Reva's, and he like killed the crystal or something, and it turned green just because of how powerful in the Force he is. Because green in the old EU was the symbolic of a Jedi, not Guardian, Jedi, not Sentinel. What's the other one?
A gray Jedi?
Counselor, Jedi counselor.
Oh,
no, not
gray.
Yeah, but are super strong in the Force, right? Like, that's like old stuff that's not canon anymore. But it would have been cool if they showed a connection.
Counselors are still regarded as mindful in the Force more so than the Guardians.
Yeah, it's just the color of their lightsaber is not controlled by that, so it's like
true. It's not per class of, but I mean, but the kyber crystal changes based on
the Jedi.
Your interpretation of the Force. So I mean that.
Yeah,
I think
makes sense.
Helps with that. I mean, the only thing that I think is still class based lightsaber is the yellow kyber. Yeah, and because the Sentinels, well, or at least for the Temple Guards. Temple Guards are issued a lightsaber because they built lightsaber as a reflection of who you are as a Jedi, and Temple Guards are regarded as faceless and anonymous, and that's
unless you just give yourself a name like Rey Skywalker.
Wow, Josh, with the hot take. Here we go. Guys, you can at him on Twitter at N64Josh.
She's got 2 cool lightsabers. I will say dark side Rey and final Rey Skywalker lightsaber.
What, the Swiss Army knife?
Hey, that one's cool.
That one was pretty cool. Yeah, it was very Jedi Temple Guard ish.
Nunchucks
hinged.
Did any of you? Okay, I'm gonna get a little sappy. But I definitely shed some tears and got a little lump in my throat when Owen goes, "Ben, you want to meet him?" And like when he walked over to him with the
T-16
ship and does the whole hello there, and I was just like, "Guys, he met Luke when he was little." Like, I was like, "Ah!" I looked over at my wife and she's like, "Ah." But I was just like, oh man, that was just like, it was so freaking good. I feel like such a I don't know. It's just, there's something about Luke and Obi-Wan that has always drawn me to them. and just to see them two together like that outside of New Hope and other things like that was just really cool for me to see, really, really cool.
So I want to, like, if a second season is ordered, or if it's in the works, or if it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Hayden has gone on record. Ewan has gone on record saying they'd be up for it. I think they both said that. I would hope that Liam Neeson, I hope he would be on board because I think that would be a really cool something. And then obviously get Frank Oz involved. Like I would want to see travel to Dagobah. I would want to see something more in just how. I mean, more with becoming one with the Force. I don't know how many interactions more we could have without lessening now the interaction that we have in episode 6 and then the future interaction in episode 4. How many more interactions there could be, unless it was mainly flashback stuff. I really enjoyed the flashback in episode 5 and the whole kind of progression through that episode of Anakin's aggressiveness and willing and wanting to always be on the offensive and not reactionary, which, I mean, is used against him for the escape to happen. But what do you guys think a season 2 could look like, or what would you want it to look like, I guess, if it were to happen?
A gang of Jedi versus a gang of Sith.
Lightsabers everywhere.
West Side Story, Star Wars.
Yeah.
I want to see him snapping. The whole deal.
Y'all ready to hear this rumor that has been confirmed? Because I think this might be with the direction they're going. Because I do know, like we broke a couple of episodes ago that I had good information that there is indeed going to be another season of Kenobi, because of the way that they'd had to do it for, I think it was like the Oscars or whatever one of the award shows, where they had to declare if it's going to be just a one-off or continued sequels, and that and Moon Knight was one of the ones that said there's going to be another one. So the rumor mill was there is going to be a new series, a new Star Wars series of Cal Kestis, Jedi Fallen Order. And now it has been confirmed that the actor has already signed his contract for it. What is it? Cameron, I can't remember his last name. But like he has already signed his contract for it. So it is very, very, very strong that he is going to be the next part of this, because the timeline of Cal Kestis and Obi-Wan matches up perfectly, like, of all of this. So you have the fact that you could see a young Ezra. You could see maybe stuff brought in with Maul. You could see stuff brought in with the Inquisitors and Cal Kestis. You still got Reva out there, like, running around. So I think this is huge. I think they could move away from Obi-Wan, where he's more of just the wise hermit, kind of like he was for Ezra in Rebels, and focus more on Cal Kestis. So we'll see.
For some reason, I kind of see him, like I was jokingly saying, put a gang of Jedi together, but I do kind of wonder about Reva and Cal. You know, maybe somebody else. And I could kind of see the end of Empire kind of scene going on, where Vader maybe is talking to Obi-Wan, as they're chasing him again, something similar like that.
Yeah.
Maybe some direction for Cal and Reva, depending on what she's going to be doing.
Yeah.
I did see, and I've been thinking Maul this whole time. Like,
I mean, if Maul comes in, it has to, Filoni has to be fully involved.
Yeah.
And if it's gonna happen, it needs to be shot for shot, because that 2.5, 3 minutes in Rebels is perfect.
Yeah.
And the conversation that's had, the subtle movements of Obi-Wan, where he's old Obi-Wan, He's new. He's
Ewan McGregor.
he's episode 4 Obi-Wan, but then he also shifts to Qui-Gon stance for that deception on Maul is just so perfect, and it would need to be shot for shot. Ray Park, I'm sure, would still be up for being involved, and possibly either have him do the voice or the voice actor
Sam
who
Witwer,
does.
Yeah.
I mean that would be cool to see that taken from comic and put in live action, but I would want it to be, at least in that, for that instance, I would want it to be shot for shot.
I don't even think they have to even go that far. They could just focus on Maul and the Syndicate, because like there's so much good stuff we never get to see with how he set up the Syndicate.
Make it Solo too.
Yeah,
roll it in. Let's do it.
It could be so good, dude. Like you think about it, when Ezra goes with him back to Dothamir on Rebels, and he sees his base on Dothamir, and he sees all the relics he has, including the Darksaber. Like, holy crap! Let's tie all of that in, especially with, like you got the whole things with the Mandalorian. You got like, let's just tie it all in. That's what Filoni does. He ties everything in, man. So let's just tie it all in like a nice, pretty bow and put Star Wars on it. It's like, it'd be so good. Like, show us the crime syndicate. I think that would be amazing. I mean, we know Dooku worked with the crime syndicate and kind of messed with them so much. Like, it's just like, there's so much there that we could see. I mean, maybe even Cad Bane, because we know he was alive the whole time. So it's like, there's so much there that they could do. So I don't know.
Find a way to get Hondo involved too.
Yes, everyone loves Hondo. Like, he's probably one of my favorite pirates, man. He's just hilarious. He's perfect, and his little pig guy. I can't remember his name. What was his name? The little guy that runs with him all the time. But
with Hondo or with Cad?
With Hondo, he has that little buddy that's like the guy in Mando. What's his name? God, I can't remember his name. But yeah, it'd be funny to see him as well. But so any other big moments in all of this? You know what? Actually, I want to hold on. Hard stop here. I want to bring this up because I thought about this week. There's a lot of people that just hated the series, right? There's a lot of people that are like us, or like myself, I should say. I really love the series. Or people like Josh that was like, it was good, not great, but good. Do you think this would have benefited if Disney just released it all at once and people could have binged it rather than waiting week to week to week to week to watch? That's a tough one, right?
I mean, I think the anticipation of what's to come and the talk that the community had about like seeing the similarities between episode 1, episode 2, with the movies and everything, I enjoyed that. It leads to the water cooler talk, which I think is helpful with stuff, but like I still haven't. It outpaces people because some people are at different paces when it's all out, and you feel like you have to sit down and watch it. Like I still haven't gotten through Stranger Things, mainly just because I've been watching a bunch of other stuff. But like that whole episode, that whole season is out, and like I still haven't had a chance to sit down and watch it. But like I've had a good enough chance, I guess, to avoid. Anytime I see anything that Stranger Things, I just keep moving. And I don't have to worry about spoilers. But like, even today, I hadn't watched the episode until I got home from work, and I had to be cautious on Twitter and everything, and or TikTok. And TikTok people are pretty good about putting up spoiler warnings if there's stuff going to be happening. But like, I think it benefits from the week to week stuff, and it was even short. Like we had 2 episodes right off the bat. And I think it gave us a good chunk. I kind of wish some of the episodes were a little bit longer. This one felt pretty good at 51 minutes or whatever it was. Credits on these shows are like 5 minutes, so it ended up being still like a 45-minute episode. But I enjoy the anticipation and the community speculation and everything that comes with the week to week episode.
I think where a show like this suffers is we know the ending.
We know who's going to live and who's going to die. Kind of
exactly.
Yeah, there was no threat for Owen. There was no threat for Beru. There was no threat for Luke. Like, that's just how it is. You know they're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even the Grand Inquisitor, I mean, if we are like, unless they were going to just retcon him out, which I was like, I didn't see it happening. The writing was on the wall, right? So there wasn't. I went into the show wanting to see lightsaber fights. You know what I mean? Like that was that's kind of what I was. Leia ended up being a treat, honestly. Like
I don't understand the hate for her. I really don't. I think she was one of the best things about
she was great.
The season.
Yeah, and I mean, even I would say I thoroughly enjoyed this show more than just kind of liked it at the end of the day. It was weird. I saw a lot of people talking about episode 5 and how it was like a filler episode, and I was just like, I didn't really see that. I thought it was a little corny that Reeves was going to try to like hit Vader from behind, and then he just force stopped it. Like it was, like it's one of those strange things when you see this character that we saw from the 70s move in a certain way, and now he moves in different ways. There's a little bit of a disconnect with it, right? I mean, there's no way around that. But at the same time, I'm just gonna shut my brain off and enjoy some Star Wars, and like I think I'm ready for some bigger like space battles of some kind. I think that would help. I was a little, especially after watching Top Gun, I was like, I wish Rogue Squadron was still a thing.
Just watch Rogue One, man. You'll be good.
No, I mean for real though. That's fantastic, especially seeing those older actors.
Yeah,
those old cuts from A New Hope being thrown into the mix. Like I love that. Like it's so great. So yeah. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I do think there's plenty of room. I mean, I was just kind of looking at timelines. It looks like Maul dies 2 years before A New Hope, right? So I mean, we don't necessarily have to see Maul and Obi-Wan. There could be Maul messing with Inquisitors. There could be Maul messing with Cal Kestis in the new game,
or the Emperor,
yeah. I mean, how fantastic would that be if Vader had to go and rescue the Emperor from Maul or something like that? Like,
I mean, they sent the Inquisitors out to find the Shadow, so
yeah, I think there's a lot of fun that can be had, and I stay away from, I don't see much Star Wars Twitter. Like I see the tweets from Star Wars. I have the notifications turned on. That's pretty much it. Like I was just on Star Wars Twitter and I was like, good God, these people are so angry. Like,
geez, yeah. Don't look at Star Wars Twitter.
Well, it's all like like a lot of it's the political stuff from, it's this and it's that. It's like, it's okay to just enjoy things, and it's okay to like go, this might be for somebody else and this part's not for you, and that's okay. But why not find what you can enjoy out of it versus like
the people that complain that like keep politics out of Star Wars. It's like,
it's all about
Star Wars
politics.
is a mirror to politics. Like it's anti-fascist, it's anti-Nazism, it's anti, like there's so many things that George Lucas took and held a mirror up to with the original trilogy and the prequels. Like it's you can't say that keep that stuff out. It's
I mean, the Empire is modeled after Nazi Germans.
Yeah,
like that was what it was.
There's a reason they're called stormtroopers.
Yeah,
it's not a new original name. It's what the Nazi soldiers were called.
And Josh, I agree, man. It's like weird. It's like it's no secret that us three here are not a fan of the sequels, right? Like there's things that we enjoy about them, but like overall, I don't think we're someone that just like sits down on the afternoon and go watch The Last Jedi or The Rise of Skywalker.
I've tried.
Yeah.
I kid you not. I've watched that movie probably 4 or 5 times just to try to like, because I see people defend it and I'm like, okay, I'll check it out again. Like, I don't need to draw a line in the sand, but it just doesn't do it. And it's the 3 movies together is the biggest, like,
it's disjointed.
Don't let Abrams touch anything. That guy cannot finish. He's a great starter, but he can't finish.
Well,
like,
and I'd even argue that he didn't even start it that great. Like, it was just a rehash of episode 4. Like, the only thing I think Abrams brought really well to the sequels was the practicality of physical creatures and droids and stuff that he brought. Like, the amount that he did not want to have CGI in the sequels was Unkar Plut and BB-8 and all those characters were
Babu
actual.
Frick.
Babu Frick was he was a little puppet, and it worked. But like the practicality of physical things being present on set, I think helped with the immersion of it. But the storylines just suffered because they didn't have anything rock solid when they went into it, and they're just like, let's throw Star Wars up on the screen.
Yeah, I don't think there's any one of us here would say if you enjoy those, don't go enjoy them. Like,
oh, never.
Yeah. It's just weird. It's like the Star Wars fans are so polarized sometimes that you can't just sit down and enjoy stuff. Like, I watched some of Star Wars Theory's reactions to some of the episodes, and he just hated it all the way up until the end, and then he's crying again because he sees Luke, and I'm like, see, bro, just give it time.
I thought the episodes got progressively better. Like, I really did.
And that's why I think maybe I think I agree with kind of what you're saying, Crawler, with like, I think it's good that it's weekly because of the water cooler talk and things like that. It allows us to do podcasts and things like that and kind of tear it apart bit by bit, talk about what we enjoy and stuff. But I almost think if they would have just released it all at once, it would have been received better by the general Star Wars population because they could see it as a whole, because it really is like a mini movie all put together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you really watch it from start to finish, it's like they created a movie and cut it up into episodes. And I mean, for me, I knew where it was building. Like, I could kind of feel it. So I like the first episode, I was like, it's kind of slow, good start. Second, so okay, getting better. Third, okay, that's really good. Fourth, okay. Fifth, yeah. Sixth, love it. I was just like all in right there. And I think that may have benefited a little bit,
Yeah.
You may be right. Being able to see them all at once. I think one of the things that was a little, the pill that was a little hard to swallow was the Grand Inquisitor basically disappearing for
half the show. Yeah.
And then and I think part of that, like, I think we should all temper expectations going into these things, but then when trailers come out and it looks like he's going to be a main part of the show, and that's kind of where your expectations start to go, and then that gets taken away. Like,
well, in that trailer, I'd have to go back and look at it again. I think that trailer is cut all from episode 1 and 2 almost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They didn't want to give anything away, and I mean that's fine. But once you get through that initial drop was the first 2 episodes, everyone was like, "Well, we've seen everything that's in the trailer, so everything is new." And I mean, Leia wasn't even in the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, the hate towards her, like, I just I don't know. I feel the unfortunate thing is it like a little bit of the Star Wars tweets I do see are all from within an echo chamber that have to draw a line in the sand to then get the engagement, get the people around them that are carrying the same torches and the same flag,
Mhm.
and and you're just kind
Agree
of
with
like,
me that we all hate this.
Fake outrage almost.
it yeah it well, it's again, it's like you're watching every episode with like, what can I tweet, and what like, I can't imagine trying to just look for everything I hate when I'm watching something.
It like, do you remember? We're old, so we can say this. Do you remember when you would go watch a movie before Twitter, and then you would go talk to your friends at school or whatever, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah," like you would have a chance to like
Form your own opinion.
yeah, exactly, without
Mhm.
looking at Reddit or looking at Twitter or watching somebody else's YouTube video.
And I
Like,
mean,
no, you
speaking of that, to like the whole all episodes come out at once as well, is like, I feel like I have to go see a Marvel movie the weekend it comes out, within a day or two. Like, I can't even wait until
Right.
Sunday or Monday. Like, you have to go see it right then, otherwise the internet is just going to ruin it for you.
everywhere. Yeah, it like
And
IGN
so,
or
I mean, with
somebody will
this,
put something out there, and you're like, "Oh, thanks for the thumbnail spoiler." You
yeah,
know? Yeah.
And even like, I saw Doctor Strange is on
it's
Disney
already
Plus.
on Disney Plus. That popped up this like yesterday, I think.
And I mean, I will watch it again just to
Mhm.
make sure, because what I said today when I saw that it was up, I was like, oh, now I can watch this again knowing exactly what it is, and I might not dislike it quite as much, right? Because I had expectations of what I thought it would be, and then what it actually was
It
something
was
entirely
less
different.
grandiose than what the internet had built it up before you went and saw it as being a grandiose thing. I think there were fake leaks with Tom Cruise and
Right.
with
Yep.
other people that were going to be, it was going to be a wider Marvel cinematic thing, when it was just people like to crap all over it. So I mean,
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, we live in an era where everybody wants to be a critic, right? Because like, social media has apparently made their opinion valid to somebody, and then and it's taken the and it's an oversaturation of so much entertainment.
Yeah.
I think our age probably helps with some of that, because like, we remember when it was like 4 movies a year and you were lucky if you got to go to 2 of them,
Yeah.
right? And that was always an event where, like, I go to my movie theater now, I'm sometimes the only person in there. And this is like opening weekend. It's crazy.
I mean,
Yeah.
Crazy.
Spider-Man was a different thing. Maverick, I think, was a little bit of a different thing as well. But like, I remember I went to Doctor Strange on Friday at like 3:00. I took off work early, and there was like one other couple, I think, in the movie theater. Like, that was it. Like, it isn't a thing to necessarily. It people have other ways to consume the content, and it's sometimes not as big a deal anymore. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't.
Yeah. And this is a really good question I kind of want to dive into by Servant. As a company, how do you balance the story as a whole and the internet outrage? I love the story and trust Disney Plus at this point after Mando. I mean,
Well, even that grouping of people has gotten hate for Book of Boba Fett. They've gotten like, I think Mando season 3 is going to group a lot of stuff together. I think they're building kind of an MCU after the original trilogy to kind of fix it, or not fix it, but to make things cohesive, if you want. And I mean, I'm looking forward to how they build in the stuff that we've had from Rebels and other content to bring it all to live action and have it be together.
yeah. I mean, I trust Filoni and Favreau. I think those guys, like I said before, I think they're fans first, and I think that's what makes them so good at what they do, is because they look at it through the lens of a fan first, and then look at it through the lens of a producer or a story writer, because they love and respect Star Wars so much. Like, that's why I think I trust pretty much everything that came out of Disney Plus. Now, Granted, Book of Boba Fett, I was really hoping for it to be a little bit better. I still enjoyed a little bit of it, but it was not near as good as I wanted it to be. I mean, I'm wearing a Boba Fett hat right now that I bought, so I liked it a little bit. But yeah, it's like at this point, I think I trust, since Filoni is kind of in charge of the overarching story now of Star Wars. I have a lot of trust. I wouldn't say in Disney Plus, but more in Favreau. Um, Favreau and Filoni. I think those guys they're like the 1-2 combo. They're like the Clone Wars of Anakin and Obi-Wan.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, like, I don't even know that a company like that pays too close attention until it starts to hurt the bottom line, right?
Yeah.
And that's when we saw like with Solo that like a lot of fans were pretty burnt and didn't, it didn't get the numbers they wanted to see. But I don't
But
think any of the.
Did you see Ron Howard's like reception at Celebration? Like, people want Ron Howard to come back and do something again. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
It's
Kathleen
the vocal
Kennedy
minority.
Kathleen Kennedy doesn't have a great finger on the pulse, I think, because she talked so much smack about Solo, and I don't think
she needs to stay away from the fan stuff and just focus on being a producer, right?
Mhm.
Like, she knows how to be a producer.
She's produced great movies.
Yeah,
Go back to before pre-Disney, like, she knew how to produce movies.
Right.
I think being handed the keys of the kingdom and artistic direction, like, she's floundered that a little bit, and I think that's where the greater success comes from giving Filoni and Favreau their creative
shot,
control. Yeah. I think the tutelage that Filoni had under Lucas was a lot better than what Kathleen Kennedy had, because she was a producer that had to say no. And you look at Rick McMullen as well, like the extraordinary job that he had to try to tell George Lucas no in the prequels, like, that just made that job that much harder. Because that's what a producer has to do. They have to say no to a director, to a writer, they have to look at the overall. And I don't think Kathleen Kennedy has done a great job looking at the overall until she's stepped back and let Filoni and Favreau kind of do their thing.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to step back and detach, All right. So let's give our final reviews here. What do you review the whole series? Well, we'll do this. The finale episode, give us a review on that 1 to 10, and then give us a review of the whole series.
9 and then 8.
9 and 8. All right. Strong.
I had enough fun moments in the last episode. I'll give it a 9.5. The overall show, I'll give it 8.5.
I have to say a 9 on the last, or a 9.5. But I'm going to go 9.5 on the finale. And I think overall, like a strong 8.5 for me. Like, there's definitely a few things that were kind of but there was some stuff that I really loved, really, really loved.
Would it be fun to go watch these series in one sitting at the theater?
I think so. Like, if you rented out the theater for a bunch of friends or something, like, make it a Star Wars like night or something where you watch all of season 1 and 2 of Mando, and then like Kenobi and Boba Fett and all that. Like, that would be really fun. Or make it like a Saturday, like Star Wars Saturday, and everyone show up at the theater and let's watch it together.
Yeah.
I
just wonder if it would change the impact at all, being on the silver screen.
It might. I mean, because everything looks better on the silver screen. You get popcorn, you get a Coke, you sit down in those comfy chairs and the cool AC.
Not my theater sucks, so it's not comfy chairs. But
I mean, I think if you can get I guess you can download stuff as well, so you can have it on a device. I think the stream buffer, would deteriorate a little bit if you were to blow it up on a big screen like that. But if you can find a way to have an uncompressed version of it, like that is one of the tragedies, I guess, of the streaming like economy that we're in right now. It's like Netflix, I think, has released like Stranger Things, some of the seasons on DVD or whatever, but I would purchase these seasons if they were packaged up nice and put on the shelf. Like, having physical media for Star Wars, I appreciate, and like if we can have a 4K Blu-ray of all this stuff that's been coming out, like they can make sales of that stuff. I feel like even though people have access to it with streaming, there's something to be said. Like, you look at the stream compression that happened with the Battle of Winterfell on Game of Thrones. It looked like shit. It just looked bad on streaming and even on television. I think it didn't look that great because it was compressed and it wasn't the raw 8K or whatever footage that they shot it in. And the HDR didn't bring out the darks and the lights like it should, and it just looked horrible. So I feel like if we can get uncompressed footage, I think that would add to my excitement to go do something like that in a theater. But
we should do
or just in general, I would like to have the access to pure media like that. And then also let's get the non-special edition trilogy out sometime again.
Yeah.
On 4K
you know what we
Blu-ray
should totally do between now and before the Bad Batch and Ender is we should do some watch parties in the Bendu Discord. Like, I think that would be kind of fun.
I want to rewatch Bad Batch because that was 20 something episodes, and it's like I definitely want to refresh myself before that second season comes out.
Yeah. Well, sweet guys. Hey, everyone that watched us live on the recording of the podcast, we appreciate you guys for watching us. We've been trying to do this every week, but we'll see how it goes as we wait for the next shows.
What is next? Is Andor next, or is it Bad Batch?
I think
Andor.
I think Ender and then Bad Batch runs like almost a week right after that or something like that. I'd have to look, but yeah. But guys, we hope you're enjoying Star Wars because there's so much that's going to be coming out this year. It's going to be amazing. So,
I bought the Star Destroyer Lego.
Oh, let's see it, dude. Do you have it with you?
It's over there. No. But I went and spent money because Lego's going up in price here in a month or so, and I wanted to get it before. That set's retiring at the end of the year, so I wanted to have a nice big $700 UCS Star Destroyer to have.
Right.
Now I just need to have space to put it up.
Right.
When are you gonna do some Lego TikToks for this show? We need some Lego TikToks for this.
I got a N1 Starfighter I need to build, so yeah, I'll do something like that.
We'll have to do it. We'll have to put it on time lapse on the show. Show everyone. Yeah. Hey, well, guys, don't forget that we do have a Patreon. So if you're interested in helping out the podcast anyway, go check that out. There's all the info in the description. Thank you guys for watching, and remember,
the Force will be with you, always.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you, Master.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with us all.